you. Yes, you. This is Usayome Sale from Ways Prime Time. Now, we appreciate your continued support for watching our content, following us across all our social media. But we've noticed, for those of you watching us on YouTube, 88.5% of you who watch our content aren't subscribed to our channel. Why? Now, if you are enjoying our content, you enjoy our shows, and you want to stay updated on all things Ways, it's time to hit that subscribe button below. Now, subscribing isn't just for you. It's for the growth of our channel. It helps us get bigger and better. With your support, we can continue to bring even more intriguing and exciting content. How about you subscribing right now and being a part of our community?
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another fresh episode of Ways Breakfast. Hashtag What Are You Saying? I'm so excited to have you join us today. It's Wednesday already. That means it's midweek. So I hope that your plans and your goals are still very top of mind. It's with great pleasure I welcome my other co-hosts with me. Hi, guys.
Hi, good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm beautiful. How are
Fine.
you?
The response is coming all at once. You're beautiful, God's beauty.
Yes,
I mean,
I
that's
am.
your name, so you should be beautiful. But what is making that beauty really come out? Why do you think you're beautiful? I want to challenge that your statements. Why do you think so?
Nothing serious. I mean, the fact that, you have woken up this morning not by your power or by anything, but by the grace
Hallelujah.
of God. I feel like that's a lot already, So,
How about you, Okiki?
Me, I don't
I'm
feel
so
like
glad to
it's
have you
even
again. I mean, I can't. It's feeling.
I know.
I'm feeling a lot
shy,
of
but
emotions right now
continue.
to see you on this table.
I mean, I
Okikiola.
feel like it's not even about the physical beauty per se. It's the aura, the intentions when you wake up in the morning.
Yeah,
I'm going
back
to
with the deep
be.
words.
Yes, it's very important. Those are the things that get me going. So, yes, fresh aura, fresh vibes.
Yeah, yesterday we're celebrating October 1, independence and everything. Because of the Independence Day, we probably did not have time to reflect that this is actually Q4 and the last quarter of the year 2024. So I'm putting it up to you now. This is Q4. How do you feel about that? 2024 is about to close up again and then another year.
We're living in a flash life because it was
How?
just January yesterday,
mean-
and then now we're in. But grateful for life. We
Which
are
is
more
top of mind.
we're more thankful to go into the new month than to say, oh, we missed that person. It was 1 month ago. The person died. This person has been sick and stuff like that. So I'm grateful to be experiencing.
I hope there are no
it either
pressures
way.
for you at this point because during this time of the year, everybody is wondering, looking at their goals and resolution. It's not
I
tallying.
think mine is I'm working very hard to be able to ball in December and then start New Year resolution
Please,
again
can you
in
put us in the
January.
group chat
Wahala,
because
I
I don't
tell
want to
you.
miss out. Well, I'm
Wahala.
just feeling lots of things actually. I can't give a word to place the emotion that I feel right now because it's just a whole lot, honestly. I mean, it's Q4. January has gone. We're in October already. I can remember January vividly. Many of the incidents that happened, it's so vivid in my eyes. And it just makes us understand again that time really doesn't wait for anyone. So this is your cue to go aggressively for your goals. You're not getting any younger. Neither are we. All right, my name is Oluchiomenka. I forgot to mention that earlier. And thank you for joining us. If you're yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel, please do so at Official Upgrade TV. Turn on your notification and always be part of our conversation. We'll take a short break now. And when we return, we'll go straight into the headlines across the Nigerian newspaper. Stay with us. We'll be right back shortly. Glad to have you back from that break. Now let us take a look at the news from the pages of today's newspaper. Today we have The Punch, we have The Guardian, and of course the New York Times. I'll be starting with The Punch. The major headline reads, October 1 protest, record low turnout nationwide. Kaduna, Plateau, Nasarawa, and others shun rally. Heavy police presence in Osun and Nigeria. Police arrest 10 in Kano, Port Harcourt as Nance backs President's youth converb. Above that, we see petrol imports drop by 3.58 billion litres after subsidy removal, says federal government. Flooding worsens despite 180 billion naira spent on dams. And Port Harcourt refinery misses 7 production rollout deadlines. Dauda Lawal's allegation against Matterwall self-serving, says analyst. Tinubu governors preach patriotism at 64th Independence Day parades, and federal government extends rice subsidy programs to states. 5 suspects arrested for allegedly killing Ogun fisherman. And the last headline here says Iran launches 180 missiles at Israel, and federal government plans Nigerians' evacuation, which is very key. Please bring our people, let them be safe. I'm going to touch on the October 1 story. We did a bit of it yesterday when we were conversing and talking about national unity, and we mentioned that, you know, protest in Nigeria has not really given us the answers that we really desire. It's always like a back and forth, at least from the answers. Maybe it did put a bit of activism out there, but we've not seen any significant result. So the October 1 protest was supposed to be a thing yesterday, and it's saying here that the turnout was very low. So I'll read the major story that I found on the website. It says the Fearless in October protest recorded a low turnout in the Federal Capital Territory and states amid the heavy presence of security operatives. And this was as the organizers of the protest, the Take It Back movement, rejected the planned 30-day National Youth Converb announced earlier on Tuesday by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The group described the initiative as a jamboree designed to reward the president's supporters. And in its Independence Day address, Tinubu announced plans to convene a youth conference, which he said will be held for 30 days to address and discuss challenges facing the Nigerian youth, who accounted for more than 60% of Nigeria's population. So my question to you guys now is this. We know protest has not been working. At least many of us can attest to that. But then the president, during his speech yesterday, did give us this very beautiful plan of having a 30 days, we like to call it town hall meeting now, but like a youth conference sort of thing where, you know, Nigerian youth will come and will address certain challenges. Do you think this is a better approach to having a conversation or dialogue to address that issue, or should we go back to protest?
Well, I personally think that it is a good idea. The only issue with that idea is the people that they will send it out to.
Yeah.
And then we have a thing in Nigeria that it has to be somebody that we know, or the person is going to be a valuable addition to it. It's not going to be a valuable addition to it. We always tend to bring in somebody that we know rather than somebody that is supposed to be there to aid that change. So it might do a 30 days youth confab, and then they're just numerous youths that have no idea of what the vision or future of Nigeria should be. So what I would advise the president to do in my own little space is that let it be key people who you are so sure that have track record.
People from where are you going to be selecting them from? Universities?
I mean, universities, it should be a blend of everything, down to young politicians, you know, universities, the
student
leaders, everybody. Like, let delegates be intentional, not just go and submit some names to me. Let delegates be intentional. You are sure that this set of people that are coming have visions, they have different ideas. This thing is going to come together in that 30 days, and we're going to have like a blueprint of where Nigeria is going to be for our 65th anniversary.
Yeah, but then we see that some people feel like this is the jamboree. I think that was the quote that they used to describe
It's always going to happen like that. Almost every day we have dialogues, we have meetings, we have workshops, and after that,
so unfruitful.
Everything ends. That's why I said that the delegate has to be intentional.
Exactly what I just said. So it is one thing to get the right people. It is one thing to delegate the right people to, you know, go there and represent us. It's another thing to say, will these people even listen? It is one thing to call these things so it doesn't look like you're not acting, so it doesn't look like you're not listening to them. Because all the protests we've done so far is to complain about a particular, you know, we keep mentioning insecurity, we keep mentioning hunger in the land, we keep mentioning a whole lot of things, right? And at the end of the day, it's more like you're not listening to them. So if you're coming out with this kind of initiative, good plan, right? But are you how sure are we that you're even going to implement those things? If after getting the right delegates to go there and represent us, how sure are we that you listen to what they have to say? Because the reason for the protest is we've been complaining about several things so that you can hear us. So if you're not coming up with this initiative, it's more like all those times we've been talking, you've not been hearing it.
No,
At least since the initiative is now from their own end,
And that's why
they should create the idea that, okay, probably there will be some listening ear at this point.
Well, let's see how it goes. Implementation is the key. It is not to come and make noise and come and talk and come and tell us you have an initiative, right? Good delegate, fine and good. Now, after they have said what they have to say, how sure about the implementation? How sure are they you're listening to them and you're fulfilling those things that they have said? So finger crossed. Let's see how it looks like.
All right, let's move to the Guardian newspaper.
So taking you through the Guardian newspaper, the headline reads, Protests. Discontent mars Nigeria's 64th Independence Day celebrations. And beside that, we have CDHR advocates removal of states from federal structure. Below that, the Southwest says in need of modern ranches, not open grazing of old. And the last but not the least story, El Rufai says, I didn't steal as governor. I'm ready to swear with Quran. Well, the story that I would love to talk about is the idea of open grazing that has been happening for the longest, and this has been the reason why there's been so many lives lost from, they say it's Fulani headsmen, they say it's this, they say it's that, and it's been happening so much in the Southwest. So if they say that, okay, let's look at modern ranches instead of the old way of grazing, that, okay, I would have suffered to build this large portion of land, and then because it's open grazing, some set of people will just bring cows and then eat those, or even stomp on it, because sometimes the cows will just go into the place or the land without having maybe idea of what they want to go and eat there. Okay. They just go in, stomp on things that the person must have suffered to plant one way or another. And then if we now have modern ranches, we now have the idea that, okay, these are specific place, just like the way they do reservations for animal lives and properties, like the Lekki Conservation Center. So if we now have that, these are specific lands and areas where you can go and feed your animal, you can go and feed your cows and all those things. I think that it will now protect, because I don't think I also want any situation whereby somebody will just come into my property and just feel like it's open grazing now. Let them just eat what they'll eat and we'll go, not knowing that there's a lot of things that happen when I know that even you that you are going into that place with your cows and all those things, you are not concerned about what I have planted there. You're just concerned about your cows eat, we go. So we need to key into that, because a lot of people are dying just from the whole idea of open grazing. Everybody can do everything, especially in Abuja. If you have gone to Abuja, you know that we and cows, we are living together. We're like, what? Well, in fact, we're the tenants, they are the landlords. On the road, you see 10, 30 cows just passing, and then you're the one that has to slow down. And for someone like me that is afraid of everything in this life, I will not go near anything that has to do with a cow. If they are coming this way, even if that's not my way, I'm going somewhere else.
All right, let's see what we have on the New York Times. Please tell me that there's a Donald Trump and Harris story today. It's been a while.
There's a Donald Trump
Please
story.
tell us. Let's go ahead.
All right, by the right side of the newspaper, we have Adam presses judge to scrap bribery charges. By the left side of the newspaper, Israel invades border region inside Lebanon. Middle of the newspaper, a presidential portrait of uncommon resilience. Next to that, Lopez Obrador leaves Mexico much changed. Bottom of the newspaper, literary Tune Smith, wood magnetism commanded the screen. Next to that as well, which is the last headline on the newspaper, we have Vance's unabashed approach turns into refinery kindred spirit. The headline I want to quickly talk on is, just in summary, right, it says Senator J.D. Vance, who is running alongside Donald Trump in the 2024 election, has been grabbing attention with his bold approach. Normally, Trump likes to be in the spotlight but instead of getting upset with Vance, he supports him. Even when Vance makes mistakes, like incorrectly incorrectly stating Trump's position on an abortion ban. Trump usually don't let people outshine him, but it seems okay with Vance's approach because he sees Vance as a similar type of bold, unapologetic figure. Trump's support for Vance, despite his missteps, shows that he views Vance as a like-minded ally who shares his determined style. So, in a nutshell, I remember speaking to somebody, I think 2 weeks ago or so, and we were just talking about who would, probably become like the winner of all of this whole political strategy and all of that. And so this person was like, hey, he has to be Trump because of the kind of people. So the person was giving the example of what's going on in Nigeria right now. Everybody knows how, the governor of Lagos, how he started and the people he has imputed and all of that. And now that it is his own turn, it's more like, I'm sorry, but there's nothing anybody can do because even the people that are there are more like at his mercy. Or do you get what I'm saying? So the person, like, that's how it's going to be like in the US as well, because according to this person, most of the people that are in position right now, people that Trump has somehow probably helped or, rendered services. And he's a person that wants to do you a favor, he's definitely going to get it back from you.
I mean, everybody's like that.
No, not everybody's like that, I'm sorry. But
many people like that.
Maybe, but to Trump, it's more like that's how he is, right? And the fact that he has this guy, Vance, as his what do you call that now, vice president and all of that running with him, it just shows that that's how like it's going to be like. So finger crossed. I mean, it's just November 5th, right? It's not far again. A month now.
This story is going to come to an end.
To be honest,
there was something that I think I saw online where, for some time now, Trump has been threatening a lot of people that have been backlashing him. So recently he said to Google or one of them that many people, if you search Trump or something, they're bringing out negative stories firstly. So he's telling them, when I come into power, all of you that have been doing a lot of threats have been going on. So
but is that something you're supposed to be getting from someone like that? I feel like you're supposed to be calm and allow them to put you in first before you start making threats. But this one is already threatening
but
anybody.
Then,
it's more like
if he's a nice man, let me put it like that. There's a difference between a kind person and a nice person.
Yes.
He's being nice by saying that, okay, I will still show you people, but I'm pleading to this set of people. It's not about the people up there. He knows that he has the funds and the power to show them shaggy. So he has told them that if I enter, he's being truthful now. If I enter this
but the more reason why people will not vote for him, because if you're threatening me, I'm sorry, I'm not going to.
November 5th, we're gonna see if that's your claim is gonna come to pass.
No, that's what it is. I mean,
all right, that's all we can take for the headline stories. On a very lighter note, I'd like to give a very special shout out to a friend of mine who is celebrating her birthday today, Ashedu Emanuela Precious, the CEO of Precious Styling. This is me saying welcome to your best year yet. I did it finally. All right, so we'll take a short. Oh, thank you. We'll take a short break now. When we return, go straight to the hot topic for today. Please do not go anywhere. We'll be right back shortly.
Imagine the world where the voices of the youth finally get the spotlight they deserve.
Welcome to Ways Breakfast, the groundbreaking show where young minds unite together to tackle issues that truly matter.
We're flipping the script on traditional morning talk shows, and this is your chance to hear the youth speak out.
We're not just skimming headlines, we're diving deep into the heart of topics that impact us all.
From politics to governance, tech innovations, mental health, and trendy social issues.
We don't just discuss, we ignite conversations that inspire change and spark action.
Join us every morning for fresh, young, and vibrant perspectives.
That empowers the next generation to make a difference.
Start your day right with Ways Breakfast, because when the youth speak, the world listens.
Ways Breakfast, weekdays at 8 a.m. live on Upgrade TV.
The fact remains, I agree with Uwa, honestly, I agree with you, that the responsibility of ensuring the protection of our children within the school system is in the hand of the parents. If the parents fail, nobody is coming for our children, the government is not coming for our children. You can see what is going on. What is the position of the Federal Ministry of Education and the institution responsible for universities in Nigeria? In the case of Ajayi Crowther University, are they issued a statement? Are they issued a statement in respect of Veritas? They've not. They are not interested. So when we keep putting our faith in the hands of people that have shown through their ways, their character, that are not interested in governance, but in their own pockets, in the way in something, in things that work for them. Why do we want to pretend?
If the foundations is
It's
bad,
faulty, what can the
righteous do? How do we start amending the foundation? And you talked about the Constitution. We've had so many constitutional amendments back and forth, and half the time they're for personal interest and not about we the people. So how do we go about it? Because you've also said we don't have the people. So how do we manufacture
You
them?
see, the collective ignorance in Nigeria is legendary, underestimated. People don't know, right? You see, it doesn't matter how determined you are. A billion fools coming together sincerely to take an action, to take a foolish action. It doesn't matter how many they are or how they feel, how much they hate. Determination is not a strategy. Neither is anger, right? People have to learn to subject their feelings to reasoning and allow those reasoning to be guided by truth before they move to action. There's a lot of movement going on in Nigeria, but 99.9% of the time, it's a movement of emotion to action. The reasoning and truth is missing within the gap.
And no strategy.
Now, when you have a critical mass that are terribly ignorant, fearful, and opaque, because you see, you have to understand the character of the Nigerian. He is extremely hopeful. Extremely hopeful. Now, anything you are willing to tolerate will never change.
Welcome back to the show. As mentioned earlier, the topic is workplace health and safety. Workplace health and safety are essential pillars for any productive workforce, but in Nigeria, these issues are often overlooked, leading to significant risk for employees across various sectors, from industrial accidents in factories to unsafe practices in office settings. The lack of proper safety measures can have serious consequences for both employees and employers. With Nigeria's growing industrialization and workforce, it's becoming increasingly critical to address these safety challenges and ensure that proper regulations are in place. And today, we'll be exploring the current state of workplace health and safety in Nigeria, highlighting the laws in place, the challenges faced by different sectors, and the steps needed to create safer working environments for all. Of course, we have a guest who will be joining us. His name is Olanrewaju Saheed. Olanrewaju Saheed is an inspector of factories with experience at the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment, specializing in workplace safety, regulatory compliance, and employee well-being. With a background in industrial chemistry, Mr. Saheed is skilled in conducting inspections, identifying hazards, and implementing effective safety measures to foster a culture of safety across industrial environments. Good morning, Mr. Saheed.
Thank you for the nice introductions.
Thank you. You're
Nice to
welcome.
be here.
We're glad to
Thank
have
you.
you join us physically on the show. How was your trip down here?
It was really
It was
nice.
safe.
But I lost my way along the line, but here we are. Thank you.
So this is a very, very critical topic, and it's quite very important with, you know, the different work cultures that we have across our country. So let's start from the very beginning. Let's start with identifying the problem. So in Nigeria, we have various sectors, right? Various work sectors. We have the manufacturing, we have media, we have agriculture. But I want us to first start by identifying the sectors that are actually struggling with this workplace, you know, health and safety, the ones that are very prone to struggle with it, and what are the major causes of these struggles?
Yeah, from my experience, you find out that most of the larger corporations find it easier to, you know, comply with whatever the regulations are, and you find that because of this, the accidents they have and, you know, hazards are managed properly because they have more resources and they are more aware. They know the importance of, you know, safety. However, the lower factories, for instance, they find it difficult to comply because, you know, they have lesser resources to implement measures that would make sure that, you know, they don't have these cases. And, you know, this is a problem. And the main reason for this is because a lot of them, it's lack of awareness, like you said, negligence, which can, you know, have catastrophic effects on, you know, even the psychology of the workers, the staff. You know, sometimes we've been to factories and we find out that people are not putting on their PPEs. In some cases, it's because the company hasn't provided. Okay. But sometimes they even provide these things, you know, the personal protective equipment, but they don't use them. And the company just watches them doing these things. In these lower companies that I'm talking about, a lot of people who are doing the manual labor, who are supposed to be, you know, in their PPEs while working, they don't do this because many of them are illiterate. And, you know, for instance, the company, they don't make sure that the laws and regulations they put in place are being abided by. So when we go there for inspections, you know, we point out these things and we try to make sure that...
Before Okiki goes, in your experience, what are the, like, major hazards that you've seen happening in all these places so that people can even know the hazards themselves?
Right. So the hazards depends on... Even when I got here, I found one hazard when I was trying to bring this this chair up, and it was hooking on the rug here. Okay. If he wasn't so careful, he could have slipped and fallen because of this. So, you know, little things as that. But the most common ones are being exposed to dangerous chemicals. Because of this, in many cases, you have ventilation issues, noise pollution, and then ergonomic issues, which could lead to musculoskeletal disorder over time. Okay. You know, because, you know, we've been to a very popular company here in Nigeria that produces the snacks that our children eat. I'm not going to mention the name, of course, but, you know, their production line was set up in such a way that the final product is dropping almost all the way to the ground. And then we have, there was an elderly woman who was there who has to now sit, and she was bent, and then she has to be removing. Imagine sitting like this and, you know, repetitive action, and you're bent back like this for 8 hours every day. Wow. Over time, it would become an issue for her. Yeah. And, you know, this affects the economy, because when you visit many of these factories, you find out little things like this that are being overlooked, and it can easily be resolved by just making sure that the production line comes a little bit up, and you can just place a bigger bowl down there for collection. And when the bowl is filled, the woman just has to bend down once, pick it up, and, you know, dump it somewhere it's supposed to be.
That is very profound.
Well, I wanted to I wanted to differ with something that you said when you said that a lot of big companies actually have the capacity, to put in place this workplace safety and health, but they do not. And I'm going to talk about a very big pharmaceutical company that I also know that they do a lot of drugs and stuff, but they still do not
comply.
There's no employee safety, there's no employee health plan. I remember somebody, I think, cut his hand through some years ago, cut his hand through some of the machines that they were using to bottle drugs, and then he was just like, oh, it happened to you, nice, sorry, go and find treatment somewhere. Meanwhile, there are also like byproducts too from those things. I mean, there's sometimes when you're exposed to those kind of things, some people get home, they don't wash their hands, they don't, maybe out of distress, out of everything, you cook for a large family, and those chemicals always find a way to slip into food, and then over time, derails the health of, that family. But we also see cases where maybe people from your ministry also overlook those big companies because there's a
money.
It's either money, sometimes it's even the connection that I know this person to know this person. Right. So far, how have you been different? Let me put that first. How have you been different? And how have you been also ensuring that big companies especially comply with this, safety and health plan?
All right, that's a good question, and thank you for asking. So, to be honest with you, like I said, when I was answering that question, I said from my experience, right? And when you say, for instance, if you say we have 3 women in this room, they all look like women. There are always exceptions to the cases. Now we have this issue of trans and all that. Yeah. So that's an exception, right? So when I say, big companies, generally, many of them comply because they have the resources and they have the awareness. Of course, there are exceptions to the cases. For instance, the case that you cited, there are provisions in place for to address these challenges when there's an accident. For instance, if there's an accident that causes bodily injury while working, that takes away someone from work for 3 days, it has to be reported to the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment immediately. If it's something that, so if it's 1 day or 2 days, there's no need, right? But when it gets up to 3 days that it takes you away from work, you have to report it to the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment. If it causes death, for instance, you have to report immediately, right? So, and there are also provisions for compensation as well, depending on how many days, months, or whatever you're away. And this is managed by the NSITF, as the National Social Insurance Trust Fund. So these things are there, but people are not aware. So one of the things that we need to do is also to make efforts to create awareness, right, about these issues, what needs to be done, and how it should be managed properly. Do you understand? And you're also asking, what I'm doing to make sure, like you asked a personal question, right? Yeah. So, I mean, you can do your investigation. You're a journalist, right?
I also studied chemistry in school, and that's why I was asking that these things go far into the family without, a lot of people don't know that these things can spread. But I also wanted to ask, before I allow God's beauty to speak, how easy is this process? I mean, when you said that I have to, let's assume that 3 days I've been off work, I need to go and report, to the parastatal. How easy is this process? It's not, I hope it's not a case of I get there, they are now telling me. We know the nonchalant attitude of a lot of civil servants. So how easy is this process? What's the compensation time?
Right.
All right, I'd like us to take a short break and then come back to get the response to that. Please stay with us. We'll be right back shortly. Welcome back, viewers, and thank you for staying with us. We're still discussing workplace health and safety, which should be non-negotiable. We have an expert in the house who's helping us identify, this hazard and implement effective strategy to cope. All right, you were asking a question about responses.
Yeah, she was asking about, what the process is to reporting the. So, right, what we have in place is that when there are these incidences, you inform the ministry by writing on your letterhead and, letting us know that, so and so happened. If it's something that requires investigation, then inspectors will be sent to follow up and see what could be done about it. But to answer the question of how difficult or how easy is it, personally, I have a project I'm working on. It's not difficult, right? It's just for you to write it on you put it in writing on your letterhead paper and the company's letterhead. Okay. For instance, this company, for instance, you put it in writing and you send it to the ministry. We file it and take further actions if necessary. But I was talking about even using technology to even make the process more seamless. So instead of having to visit or send dispatch or whatever, there's a project in place where, although it's still in the rudimentary stage, but we are trying to have all factories and their information digitized in such a way that whenever there are these occurrences, instead of coming down, you can just, right from your computer, inform the ministry from there. There's a tab for each company to follow up. And this also helps in terms of, management of affairs. And, this gives you access to data, at the tap of your finger. And this would help with policy making, making things, better generally for the workers, employers, and, the general public.
All right.
Okay, so let's come back a bit, right? So if, let's use the example that she gave earlier. So, due to, whatever, probably the person has been put in the machine aspect, of probably the drugs or something, right? That has made you cut your hand or anything. Now, this is something that happens a whole lot of time. What's the company's do I say the company? Do I say the company's job now, or what is the company supposed to do, right? Apart from having to, send letters to you people and the government and all of that, what's the company? Because I feel like what most companies do is when something like that happen, right? Even before they employ you, sometimes I think I've heard this couple of times. Even before they employ you, sometimes you have to sign a letter where if anything happens to you, you're your own. You don't have to start paying money on all of them because they see from the aspect of, okay, what happens to you probably is your hand and you have to be, probably taking out a hair, and all of that. So it's more money for them, wasted of time. They probably have to close down the factory and all of that. So most people feel like, let's just sign this way. If anything happens to you, you're your own and all of that. And somehow it just takes me back to what you're saying. I feel like if factories like that have those kind of contract draft out, it's somehow, do I say it's against you people? Because now it just shows that they are doing it for the money, even though we know that, of course people open businesses for the money, but at the same time you're not looking at the employers as well. You're not considering the employees, the people that, you're just bringing them into your factory for them to just work and go. You give the instance of the woman and the fact that, she has to bend down a whole lot of time for 8-10 hours and all of that. And the interesting part? Most of these factories, their break are very, very funny. So it's 30 minutes and you have to work all of that. I feel like those kind of things also needs to be regulated. And I don't know if it has come to your table, if this or break time and all of that has come to your table. Because I remember when I was working in a factory one time and you're working 6 to 6, like 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening. Just have 30-minute break, 30 minutes break. And if you're working, they see you laughing, they see you would actually have shortage of funds as well.
I have nothing to be happy about.
Penalty.
Do you get? So I don't know. I feel like some of these things also need to be regulated.
Yeah, they are regulated, right? And like I was saying, a lot of these issues is about it's lack of awareness, right? So, can you remind me the question you asked, the first one now?
Okay, so I'm asking what's the company's,
okay,
the
so
company's job
to address that,
okay,
there are safety measures which have to be put in place. Each machine that requires, that has pulley systems, like something that cuts and so on, is supposed to be guarded in such a way that when you are walking, it doesn't cut you because it's guarded. Even if you slip your hand, it's not going to cut you, right? And, you know, the clothes you wear, you don't wear something that can, for instance, you can't wear something that has, you know, like a tie for a guy, and you can't go and wear something like a ram buba or something. So when you're walking, it has to be it has to be smart, you know, something that would. So these are the measures that you need to put in place to ensure that these accidents are not commonplace or are not even happening in the first place. And then aside from that, you have to regularly train your staff, right? Also, every staff member should be responsible for training themselves as well, you know, in whatever capacity they can. But the thing is, in Nigeria, we have a problem where manual labor is not really respected, so to speak. So a lot of people who do these factory jobs are like, I don't want to classify people as the lowest, but you get my point, right? Yeah, so there are low-income guys who have no choice. They are just ready to take whatever job. So they are not really bothered about what their rights are. You know, so that's why when they just shove any paper in front of them, they are ready to sign it because they are just desperate for their next meal. You know, and that's why inspection is important. So we go there and, you know, like, you know, you're saying, or like I was saying, it's not a perfect heaven, of course. You know, there's always room for improvement. But this is going to happen, you know, as they say, drops of water you will eventually make an ocean, right? So bit by bit, you know, we'll get to the promised land.
Can I quickly ask him something?
Okay, go ahead.
Please. You said something about having the company's letterhead. I had to hold on to that. What's the access to this letterhead? If I know that I'm going to report an injury that's probably going to maybe bring my company to the notice of
a certain period of time.
Do you understand? The notice of this agency. Why would I give you, if I open a company, why would I give you my letterhead to report me?
Oh, yeah, so you got that wrong.
Okay.
The answer I gave wrong.
Okay.
Or you misinterpreted.
Yes, that's why I wanted clarity.
It is not, it's on the company itself. They have to report. It's a regulatory issue.
Okay.
The company has to report it. If they don't, there are penalties in place.
How would you people know?
Yeah, that's, you know, so many of these things are underreported. And that's why I'm saying that, you know, there are measures that we are trying to put in place to make sure that, you know, the truth is that you will not know every single thing that happens. But now we are trying to make things better in such a way that it's easier to report these things. Because, to be honest, many of these cases are underreported, which is a challenge, you know, in executing our duties. Because if we don't know something is going on, then, you know, how do you report? How do you work, you know, to prevent it? So these are the issues that we are facing as well in our line of work. And hopefully, you know, things get better, and when there are more solutions with time, it will be much easier to follow.
So my next question was going to be, I want you to address modern day challenges, because we know that work, you know, landscape has changed. I mean, there's been a lot of shifts. I know you've been addressing a lot of things that has to do with factories and all of that, but I mean, we're also workers. We want to be kept safe as well. We want to have, you know, good health in our workspace. So that means there are people that do hybrid jobs. There are people that are remote workers. I'm just curious. I want to know, does your agency or your ministry, does it address this kind of peculiar work environment as well? People that have to work from home, that probably don't have to deal with a lot of heavy machines, so they're not cutting their arms or anything. But there are other challenges. There is mental health. I mean, I'm a very pro-mental health person. There is cyber safety. There are a lot of things. There are psychological things to consider. Does your ministry address that as well, or is just clearly the hard labor kind of job?
Well, you don't just say hard labor. It's not all of them that is hard labor. And you remember,
because of the kind of examples we've been giving lately, so it's giving me an idea that it's probably factory kind of work, that there's a lot of safety.
Yeah, so when you're talking about the Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment, right, there are different departments. And we are inspectors of factories. So our jurisdiction is factories, right? So this occupational safety and health department. So this is where I am assigned to.
All right.
You understand? So there are labor officers, there are other people who have the jurisdiction to go check, those kinds of things, but not us.
So
Ours is the factories.
So that means you do not have an idea of how other...
I do. If you ask me, okay, let me give you an example.
Yes.
For instance, like, some of the issues that we're facing as well, you were talking about the modern issues, right?
Yes, modern issues.
For instance, climate change is an important issue that is under or overlooked here in Nigeria. So there are, if you look at the Factory Act, there are issues, there are places where it talks about gas flaring, that's releasing of the gas out to the atmosphere. And so if you, I don't know if time permits us, and I don't want to go ahead and give a full lecture, but I mean, we are in the atmosphere, right? And then there are other spheres, like the troposphere, stratosphere, and so on. In between the stratosphere and the troposphere, we have the ozone layer, right? The ozone layer is like a blanket that's protecting us on Earth from harmful ultraviolet radiation from the sun, right? And these days, because of the harmful gases that are released to the atmosphere, the ozone layer is depleting. So, in essence, we in the factories, we are regulating these issues, right? So, for instance, if you look at a refrigerator, for instance, there are 4 components. Like I said, I don't want to go into a lecture, but the gases that are in the system, by changing of pressure, volume, temperature, and so on, is what keeps, like, for instance, your air conditioner here, the car air conditioner as well, and so on. So anyway, there are cases where these gases leak to the atmosphere, and those that contain chlorine, when they get to the ozone, ozone is O3. You said you did chemistry, right? So that's 3 molecules of oxygen. The chlorine will then break the O3 and make it now O2. And it's so bad to the point that this chlorine can remain there for as much as to destroy up to 100,000 molecules of ozone. Ozone. So what this is saying is that our blanket is getting depleted. So we have regulations in place to make sure that factories, because like I said, I was talking about refrigerator, air conditioners, and so on, but there are also industrial applications where these refrigerants, they call them refrigerants, but they are gases, are being used in large quantity for industrial applications. So we have leak detection systems that we use to make sure that there are no leaks and so on. So these are some of the modern challenges that we face. Also, there's the ILO convention as late as 2022, which was talking about safe commuting from your workplace to the factory. And this is, talking about how the roads are being designed, how some roads don't have space for pedestrians to move. At the end of the day, you find that if your factory workers are stressed getting to the workplace, it affects their, you were talking about mental health, it affects their mental health. And even so everything works together. And at the end of the day, when you look at it from the Vision Zero Fund of the ILO initiative, this was an issue that, they said a lot of car accidents, about 26% of car accidents that happen, affect pedestrians and people on bikes. And when you look at the large population of those who work in factories, like I was saying, they are low-income guys, so these are people that could be affected. At the end of the day, it affects your workplace. You are not mentally ready. You take the stress as well. You take it home. So this affects the economy at large as well. So these are issues that needs to be taken seriously, because as little as it sounds, it's important, and it has big effects at the end of the day.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. I was going to ask something too. So, you know, many times if we ask somebody that is internal, like you already in the system, there can be a bias to how your response will be, but I trust that you're not going to be biased.
I'm trying
So
my
I want you
best.
to, let's have an evaluation. How has it been? Let's relate it to workplace health and safety 10 years ago and now. Do we see like changes that are happening? Because we're talking of a sector that is, I mean, it's the federal government, it's the ministry, and everybody has their eyes on it. Anything that has to do with the government, we're all very critical. So, you know, I'm sure people are watching this. They want to know these implementations that you're talking about, are they becoming more effective compared to how it was before? What major strategies? I want you to give us more strategies that are being put in place that people can be very assured that they are getting safer day by day.
You know, like you said, I don't want to be biased, right? So, to be honest with you, you know, we are doing our best as a regulatory agency to make sure that, you know, companies, employees, you know, the general stakeholders who are involved are doing the right things to ensure safety and so on. But you have to understand that this is a partnership, right? When we go there and, you know, inform you, you know, we go around and say, okay, these are the things you need to correct and so on. We leave, right? At the end of the day, you're supposed to visit a company or a factory 2 times in a year. So
you
when
visit 2 times in a year?
A company. Because we have a lot of factories, especially here in Lagos State.
So is it that
you're
you
supposed to visit
every
at
day?
least 2, not every day, at least 2 times in a year. You're supposed to visit each company, right? So when you go there, you find contraventions, you let them know, like, look, this is, you know, the things you are doing wrong, you have to correct this and that, blah, blah, blah. You write it, you put it in writing and let them know. As well, we put it in writing in our own records as well and escalate it to, you know, the
higher authorities.
To the higher authorities, to the ministry, minister's office, actually. It's up to them as well. That's why I said it's a partnership to now follow up and correct these things. So by the next time we are coming, we want to make sure that we are not seeing this same complaints. Even if we see something, it should be something else. So we are doing our best to do that. And, you know, we are seeing results.
Because it's a lot of companies that we have in Nigeria. Is it that there's like short hand of staff that cannot? Because I'm wondering how effective
and
it
how
will be.
often they visit. Is it like, when I was talking about the everyday, is it that you put, I mean, since we have like a lot of companies in Nigeria, right? So is it that you guys pick a particular company every week? Or is it like an everyday thing? Or is it like 2 times in a week? I want to understand that.
So let's be practical here.
Okay.
It doesn't make real logical sense, if you permit me to use that, to say you're going to visit factories every day. Remember, this is a place of business at the end of the day. They are here to work, to deliver a product to the economy. We have to let them do their job. What we are going to do is a precautionary measure, right? It's to let them know, like, look, these things you are doing here, your operations, this is how to get it, to make it work better. And then we have regulations in place to make sure that, even in some cases, fines and even up to imprisonment, that when you flout these rules, you don't comply with the rules that you are given, there are repercussions to it. So we can now be going to each company every day. It doesn't.
No, of course, every day might be.
No, don't get me wrong. We can't be going like too often too, because like I said, it's not practical. At the end of the day, you can't expect the federal government to employ 1 million factory workers just to be disturbing all the factories. In the, do you understand?
Sometimes these people need the disturbing.
To be honest,
2 times
they
a year.
need it when there is reason. So a factory inspector has so 2 times a year is an informed visit, right? So a factory inspector has the power to visit and to inspect a factory, randomly, without notice, by day or by night. And if they don't give you access, you have the right to go to the police, and the nearest police station, just walk into the nearest police station, and they must give you personnel to go with you to enforce, you know, the laws. So if you find out that maybe there's a report or whatever, You can visit as many times as is necessary. But like I said, the precautionary aspect of it can't be too often. But when you identify something, you know, a problem from a particular place, the visits can be as much as to ensure that compliance is taking place. So it's not like, oh, no matter what is going on, you can only go there. No, no, no. You can go there every day if there is a reason.
You know how Nigerians are.
You know,
You're
if there
just
is a
coming
reason.
twice. You can put up an act the 2 times.
No, if you go there and everything is okay, why are you going to disturb them again? To disturb their operation? Do you understand?
In this Nigeria.
No, no, no. You can't be working like that.
All right, thank you. So as we wrap up the show, I just want to understand what your ministry is about. It's precautionary, and then you give out penalties when people do wrong, right? Is there also like welfare for injured victims?
It's not just precautionary. I was talking about the inspection aspect. It's precautionary, regulatory, compliance, and welfare of the workers as well. Even when we visit, one of the first things that we check is, okay, we ask for the staff strength, and then we go check your lavatory, like the toilets. So if, for instance, you have 50 workers and you only have one toilet, you know, this gives room for like toilet infection. Of course, that place is going to be dirty a lot.
All right, this is all we can take for our show. Thank you very much for joining us. Till tomorrow again, it's still Ways Breakfast, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Catch you tomorrow. Bye.
Hello, you. Yes, you. This is Osayome Sale from Ways Primetime. Now, we appreciate your continued support for watching our content, following us across all our social media. But we've noticed, for those of you watching us on YouTube, 88.5% of you who watch our content aren't subscribed to our channel. Why? Now, if you are enjoying our content, you enjoy our shows, and you want to stay updated on all things Ways, it's time to hit that subscribe button below. Now, subscribing isn't just for you. It's for the growth of our channel. It helps us get bigger and better. With your support, we can continue to bring even more intriguing and exciting content. How about you subscribing right now and being a part of our community?